Hey guys! Welcome back to Popverse. Today, we're diving deep into episode 9 of Buried Hearts. If you haven't seen the previous episodes, don't worry. The links are down below in the description. The episode opens with Jansen at his home, having a conversation about Yumnam. He insists that Yumnam can't stop him. She was with Dong-joo before marrying my nephew, but she is unable to forget Dong-joo. Now it's time that Yumna dies, and after her death all of her shares will be left for my nephew, who is her husband, and nobody can stop me from this plan. He chillingly declares that it's time for Yumnam to die. Once she's gone, everything she owns, her assets, will all go to Buckle. Meanwhile, Ludo visits the hospital, seemingly with the intention of harming Dong-joo. Dong-joo tells Dozen that he's terrified. Ludo had gotten very close and chose not to intervene. He just stood there listening in on their conversation. Dong-joo expresses suspicion about something odd that happened. When he passed out, Chairman Ludo instructed someone to immediately call an ambulance. Though it appeared he made the call, no ambulance actually arrived. He later called the emergency services himself and was told that no report had been received. His call was the first one they got. He can't understand why his father didn't act sooner. If he had made the call on time, Dong-joo would have reached the hospital earlier and might have been safe. Ludo then notices Tan stepping out and flees the scene. After he leaves, Dong slowly opens his eyes. Elsewhere, Ludo then went into the bathroom, slumped on the floor, and tried to inject himself, but stops midway, muttering to himself that once the tension group is destroyed, he will explain everything and take responsibility. He begins to leave, but suddenly hears a noise from Da's room. Curious, he checks and sees a man attacking Dong-joo. Dong-joo looks at Ludo, who enters and picks up the injection. Dong-joo fears that Ludo is about to harm him, but instead, Ludo injects the administrator. In the next scene, we see the chairman stepping out of his house barefoot. Valley speaks to him, asking about Da's condition. Lin explains that Dong isn't improving, he's barely sleeping, and there's been no sign of recovery. The chairman suggests sending him abroad for treatment, but Lin disagrees, saying they can provide the best care right here. At that moment, the chairman's phone dies. He asks Gong to charge it, only to realize Gong isn't around either. He mumbles to himself that he's also gone out without his sandals. We then see Lin visiting at Dong-joo. She notices Mela nearby as well. Both are peacefully asleep. Lin leaves quietly. Mela wakes up, mentions that Lin has left, but we see that the person sleeping next to her is actually Ludo. Back in the bathroom, Dong-joo has tied up the administrator. Before questioning him, he plays a video of Young Chun, who is shown bound. The administrator demands to know where Yi-joo is, warning Dong-joo that he needs to be protected. But Dong-joo refuses to help and threatens to kill both of them. The administrator laughs, asking if Dong-joo has ever killed anyone before. Dong-joo lifts the injection and moves in to strike. That's when the administrator reveals something startling. Today, Yumnam is going to die. Shocked, Dong-joo asks who's behind the plan. The administrator confesses that Jansen is the one who ordered her assassination. Dong-joo immediately wants to go and protect Yumnam, but the administrator warns he won't make it in time. He begs Dong-joo to untie him, claiming he's the only one who can save her because he's tracking the man sent to kill her. Dong-joo calls Yumnam and tells her she's in danger, urging her to leave immediately. As Yumnam steps out, someone asks where she's headed. She says she's going to the junction, where a storm is expected. A man begins to follow Yumnam, but she bumps into him and connects the call to Dong-joo, and Dong-joo threatens the man to back off and leave Yumna alone. The stranger questions, the administrator steps in and tells the man to leave the target alone and walk away. Gilban realizes who the administrator is, but doesn't comply. Yumnam also speaks with Dong, saying she's going somewhere. Dong agrees and lets her go. Later Dong comes out and thanks Vamun for helping. She nods and leaves. Dong then confronts Ludo, taking his phone and accusing him of trying to kill him twice, once during the trip and the second time when he fell and Ludo didn't call emergency services. But now, curious, why did Ludo save him today? Dong says he has saved Ludo twice too, once from drowning and again today. He assures Ludo he won't expose him, then walks away. Meanwhile, the chairman is wandering the streets barefoot, not knowing where he is. He ends up at a bus stop. Just then, Sanu arrives on a bike, recognizes him, and remembers seeing him at the restaurant earlier. Sanu recalls working at the restaurant and how the chairman once glared at him. He approaches and asks the chairman if he remembers him. The chairman simply says, "Let's go home." Seeing the chairman barefoot, Sanu gives him his own shoes. The two ride back together on Sanu's bike. Back home, everyone is panicking over the chairman's disappearance. They're checking the security footage, which shows the chairman walking out barefoot, but he never came back. Outside, Dozen and J-Pal are searching for him. They talk with JSE, who says the chairman isn't around. J-Pal suggests calling the police, but JSE says no. Kai overhears them and says the chairman has dementia. Upon hearing this, Ducky lashes out at Kai, pulling her hair and accusing her of hiding their father's condition. She blames her for ruining their family. Kuki defends herself, saying she had already sent the kids abroad. Another person steps in to stop the fight, but Ducky says this is a family matter and tells them to stay out of it. As Ducky tries to hit Kuki again, Igong steps in and tells them to stop. "Enough," she says. "We need to focus on finding the chairman, who's wandering barefoot." Elsewhere, Ludo is seen untying the administrator and tells him to leave. But then he confronts him, reminding him that he came here to kill Dong. "If Young-sun finds out about this, I'll never trust you again," Ludo warns. He then slaps the administrator repeatedly. In the next scene, we see Dong inside a car, staring at Ludo's phone. He finds a hidden message in the corner of the screen. "Call me." Meanwhile, Dong-joo rides off on a bike. Jansen, seemingly frustrated, says no one is answering. "I had prepared wine to celebrate. Now everything's ruined," he sighs. Jansen refuses the offer for a new bottle of wine and slips into memories from the past. He recalls a moment where he and two others were having a meal, and he was telling Young-sun about looking into Dong-joo's background. He had shown some old photos, explaining that Dong-joo's parents used to work in a bar as waitstaff when he was a child. As they look at the pictures, Bon notices something familiar. She points at one of the boys in the photo and says, "That's Sean." Jansen is confused and asks who Sean is. Bon then brings out another photo showing her with Sean and another man, explaining that Sean was a child they once cared for and fed, although she's puzzled by the badge he's wearing. Koo identifies the badge as an old insignia from the Tension group. Jansen gives him a warning glance, telling him to stay quiet. Bon then tells Jansen that she wants to meet Sean and suggests he speak to Sean's mother. But Jansen rudely dismisses the idea, insisting the two boys aren't the same. Bon, perhaps afraid or uncertain, lies and agrees with him. Meanwhile, Dong-joo walks into a restaurant and spots Yumnam. He checks on her, then takes her outside. As she gets into the car, Dong-joo stops her and tells her to visit a temple first. Yumnam doesn't understand why, but Dong-joo had already scoped out the area. He had seen the man sent to kill her, Gilban, waiting nearby. Dong-joo fights Gilban and takes him down. Yumnam quickly gets into the car. Dong-joo then unlocks Gilban's phone and also accesses Ludo's phone, recalling the unlock pattern he had seen before. He then calls Jansen using Ludo's phone. Jansen, thinking Dong-joo is dead, mocks him and says, "You did great." Dong-joo is gone, his soul isn't even here anymore. But Dong-joo replies, "I'm still alive." Jansen is stunned. Dong-joo reveals he also called using Gilban's phone. He confronts Jansen, accusing him of trying to kill him multiple times, so many that he's lost count. But what hurts the most is what Jansen did to his sister. Jansen denies harming her. Dong-joo tries to ask about Yumnam, but the call gets cut off. Jansen immediately calls the administrator, asking what happened to Yumnam. He orders that she be kept captive so they can use her to blackmail Dong. But Dong, who is still on the line, says, "You won't do anything to her. She's safe." Yumnam is later seen filing a police report. She has Gilban arrested and tells the police how he tried to kill her. As she sits in her car, she spots Dong-joo watching from a distance. They exchange glances, and as Dong-joo turns away, Yumnam softly says, Don't worry about me, Dong-joo. The scene then shifts to the chairman, still riding on a bike with Sanu. Sanu asks where his home is, but the chairman keeps giving confusing directions. As they wander, the chairman reflects on his past and remembers how he once fed Sanu when he was younger. Eventually, Sanu pulls up outside a police station and suggests going inside. But the chairman hesitates, saying this isn't his home. Sanu reminds him that they've been going in circles. Finally, the chairman admits, "Okay, I remember now. Let's go home." Back at the chairman's residence, the family waits anxiously. Just then, they spot a bike approaching. It's the chairman with Sanu. Everyone rushes to him. Ducky sees Sanu and asks where they had been. She scolds the chairman for making her worry. But the chairman responds, "Why would you worry? My son was with me." Tai recognizes Sanu and realizes he had been there before. Dozen and others also recognize him. Sanu tries to explain, but the chairman invites him inside, saying, "Come in, son." Sanu, however, replies, "I'm not your son." He then stops Ducky to hand her some food he brought for Dozen and says his shoes are still with the chairman. Ducky offers to drop off the shoes at his bakery. When Sanu asks if she knows which bakery, Ducky denies it. Sanu then says he'll return later to meet Dong-joo and retrieve his shoes. The next scene shows Hee-chul in his office, working. He receives a call and heads outside, where he finds Nami waiting. She says, "Let's go home." Hee-chul asks, "If I go with you, will you still go through with a divorce?" But Nami tells him her uncle called them over. They return home, where they find Jansen preparing a gun. Hee-chul arrives and asks why he was summoned. Jansen says he didn't call him. Hee-chul insists that his wife told him it was Jansen who wanted to see them. Jansen suggests it was probably his aunt who invited them and tells him to leave. As Hee-chul walks away, Jansen gets a call. It's Dong approaching while on the phone. Dong walks in confidently. Jansen tells Hee-chul to grab the gun and shoot Dong. Hee-chul hesitates. Jansen continues yelling, demanding he shoot, but Hee-chul doesn't. Eventually, Jansen picks up the gun himself, ready to fire. Just then, Dong. It turns out Dong also talking to the president. Dong-joo warns Jansen, "Don't do it. If you harm me, I'll send the army to your doorstep." Then President speaks from the phone that he have already spoken to Dong-joo. "He didn't run with the money, he came straight to me and told me everything. That's why I want peace between you two." Jansen asks why he's doing this. "Do you trust Dong?" he asks. The president replies, "Not entirely. He's dangerous, but right now he has the money, and I have no other choice." Dong tells Jansen, "I've come to you before. You tried to kill me, even after I promised to give you the money. Can I ask why? Why did you want me dead on that trip?" Jansen denies it, claiming it was Ludo who orchestrated it so his son could inherit everything. But Dong-joo isn't convinced. He tells Jansen, "I know the truth. You can say what you want, but I won't kill you. I'll take my time and make sure you pay." Later, we see Ludo returning home, where Ducky is waiting. She scolds him, saying he's too late. Ludo brushes her off, claiming he was doing his job. He notices she's drinking and asks why. Ducky recounts how the chairman had vanished earlier. No one could find him, but someone brought him home. She asks Ludo if he knows who it was. "It was Sanu," she says. "I know Dong-joo is behind all this." The next morning, Dong-joo visits the chairman, with Gong by his side. He assures everyone that he's fine. The chairman is relieved and escorts him inside. We then see Wham coming home, where her father, Kong-sung, is working. They both sit down for a meal. Kong-sung is looking at a tablet gifted by Kilyu and asks Wham to teach him how to transfer data. Wham takes the device and starts going through his photo gallery. One picture catches her attention, an old college photo of Kong-sung. She asks who the people in the image are. Kong-sung points and names them. "This is Sun, that's why, and that's Ludo." In the next scene, Gong visits the chairman with a bottle of wine and asks where Dong-joo is. The chairman replies, he's gone to meet Ludo. Then we see Ludo entering his room, and it's Dong-joo inside, waiting. Dong-joo tells him, "You know I've figured it out. I know you tried to kill me. And now, I'm going to use that weakness against you. And that's where episode 9 ends. We'll be back tomorrow with episode 10, only on Popverse. Until then, take care and goodbye.